These engines like to burn a lot of oil. You want to check your oil regularly. If the engine burns less than 1 quart of oil within 2,000 miles, the engine meets the guidelines for oil consumption.
SUVs dominate American roads. They look tough, they promise safety, and they're marketed as the perfect choice for families and retirees alike. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Not all SUVs are built to deliver on those promises. In fact, some of them are nothing more than overpriced scams. Vehicles designed with flashy exteriors and clever advertising, but hiding fragile parts, unreliable drivetrains, and shocking repair costs underneath. Many of these SUVs were top sellers. Others carried luxury badges, but all of them left U.S. owners regretting their purchase. Today, we're counting down 14 SUVs that are a complete scam. Some of them might even be in your neighborhood right now. So, let's see if your SUV made this dreaded list. Number 14. Jeep Compass, 2007 to 2016. When Jeep launched the Compass, it wanted to give buyers a smaller, more affordable entry into the SUV world. On paper, it seemed like a smart idea. Jeep styling, compact size, and budget pricing. For many U.S. buyers, especially younger drivers or retirees looking for something smaller, the Compass looked like a great deal. But in reality, it quickly became one of the most disappointing SUVs on the road. The biggest problem was the CVT transmission. These gearboxes were notoriously weak, leading to shuddering, slipping, and premature failure. Many owners reported needing complete replacements before 80,000 miles, with costs running $3,000 to $5,000. The Compass also suffered from cheap build quality. Interiors were filled with hard plastics that cracked, seats wore out quickly, and electronics frequently failed. From malfunctioning power windows to glitchy radios, the Compass often felt older than it was. Performance was another sore spot. The 2.0-liter and 2.4-liter engines were underpowered, noisy, and thirsty for fuel compared to competitors. For an SUV marketed as affordable, it ended up costing owners more at the pump and in the shop. And then there was safety. Early models performed poorly in crash tests, with weak side impact protection that shocked buyers who assumed Jeep meant toughness. While Jeep later improved the Compass, the first generation remains one of the biggest SUV scams ever sold in America. Buyers thought they were getting Jeep toughness in a compact package. What they got instead was a fragile, cheaply built crossover that left them stranded. And if you think the Compass was bad, wait until you see the next SUV, a popular Chevy that burned oil faster than it burned gas. Number 13. Chevy Equinox, 2010 to 2017. The Chevy Equinox was supposed to be General Motors' answer to the Honda CR-V and Toyota RAV4. Sleek design, roomy interiors, and affordable pricing made it look like a great choice for American families. But for owners of the 2010 to 2017 models, it turned out to be one of the biggest headaches in the SUV market. The number one problem? Excessive oil consumption. The 2.4-liter four-cylinder engine was notorious for burning through a quart of oil every 1,000 miles or less. Some owners reported complete engine failures before 100,000 miles due to oil starvation. Replacing the engine often cost $4,000 to $6,000, and GM faced multiple lawsuits over the issue. Timing chain problems added to the misery. Stretched or broken chains caused catastrophic engine damage, often requiring full replacements. The 3.0-liter V6 wasn't immune either. suffering from similar timing issues and costly repairs. Beyond the engine, the Equinox also had failing air conditioning systems, noisy steering racks, and electrical gremlins. Many owners complained of random stalling, malfunctioning power windows, and dead infotainment units. Fuel economy, which GM heavily advertised, was often far worse than EPA estimates once the SUV aged, and resale values collapsed once the oil consumption issues became widely known, leaving many U.S. owners stuck with a vehicle they couldn't sell. What stung the most was that the Equinox looked like a safe bet. Chevy promised comfort and practicality, but what buyers got was an SUV that literally ate itself alive. For many, it was less a family car and more a financial trap. But as bad as the Equinox was, the next SUV became one of the most infamous scams of the decade. An SUV so unreliable, its transmission failures became a running joke. Number 12. Nissan Rogue, 2014 to 2019. The Nissan Rogue is one of the best-selling SUVs in America. Walk into any parking lot, and chances are you'll see one. But here's the catch: popularity doesn't equal quality. For many owners, the 2014 to 2019 Rogue turned into a nightmare of reliability issues and repair costs. The biggest scam was the CVT transmission. Nissan's Xtronic CVTs were among the worst in the industry, prone to overheating, shuddering, and complete failure. Many Rogues needed new transmissions as early as 60,000 miles, with replacement costs of $3,500 to $5,000. Nissan extended warranties and faced lawsuits, but the damage to owners' wallets was already done. Engines weren't immune either. The 2.5-liter four-cylinder often suffered from oil consumption, timing chain issues, and head gasket failures. Combine that with the weak CVT, and you had an SUV that felt fragile from the ground up. The Rogue also struggled with cheap interior quality. Buttons wore out, plastics scratched easily, and infotainment systems glitched regularly. Safety features like backup cameras and sensors often failed, leaving owners frustrated with expensive replacements. Performance was another disappointment. Despite its name, the Rogue was anything but adventurous. It was slow, noisy, and underpowered, making highway driving a chore. What made it feel like a scam was how Nissan marketed it. Commercials showed families adventuring in their Rogues, but in reality, many U.S. families were stuck with failing transmissions and constant dealer visits. For a car that sold so well, it became one of the most widely regretted purchases in the SUV market. And if you think that's bad, the next SUV on our list somehow managed to stay in production for over a decade, despite being outdated, unsafe, and one of the biggest scams ever sold in America. Number 11. Dodge Journey, 2009 to 2020. The Dodge Journey is a rare case in the SUV world, not because it was good, but because it managed to stay in production for over a decade without a major update. Introduced in 2009, the Journey was supposed to be Dodge's affordable mid-size family SUV. Instead, it became one of the most outdated and unsafe vehicles on American roads. The biggest problem was how little Dodge invested in it. Even as competitors like Toyota, Honda, and Ford kept innovating, the Journey stayed frozen in time. By the mid-2010s, it was running on ancient platforms, outdated four-speed automatic transmissions, and underpowered engines. The base 2.4-liter engine struggled to move the heavy SUV, while the optional V6 guzzled fuel. Reliability was abysmal, Electrical failures, weak brakes, and failing air conditioning systems were common. Transmission issues plagued both the 4-speed and 6-speed automatics, often costing $3,000 to $4,500 to repair. Safety was another huge issue. Crash test ratings were consistently poor, and the journey lacked modern safety features even as late as 2019. Families who thought they were getting an affordable SUV often discovered they had purchased one of the least safe vehicles on the road. The interior was filled with cheap plastics, outdated technology, and cramped third-row seating that was practically unusable. Critics panned it for years, yet Dodge kept selling it, mostly to rental fleets. For U.S. buyers, the journey was a scam not because it was flashy, but because it was lazy. Dodge kept marketing it as a modern family SUV, when in reality, it was a relic that should have been retired years earlier. And if the journey was outdated, the next SUV was even worse. A family favorite, with hidden transmission disasters that cost owners thousands. Number 10. Ford Explorer, 2011 to 2019. The Ford Explorer is one of the most iconic names in the SUV market. Since the 1990s, it's been a staple of American families, retirees, and even law enforcement fleets. But the 2011 to 2019 generation proved that even icons can let buyers down. Badly. The number one scam was the transmission. The 6-speed automatics in these Explorers were notorious for hard shifting, sudden slipping, and outright failures. Rebuilds or replacements often cost $4,000 to $6,000, and many owners needed them before 100,000 miles. For a family SUV marketed as reliable, this was devastating. The 3.5-liter EcoBoost engines, while powerful, weren't bulletproof either. Owners reported timing chain wear, coolant leaks, and turbocharger failures, each costing thousands to fix. Even the base V6 models suffered from water pump failures that led to catastrophic engine damage, often costing $5,000 to $7,000 to repair. Interior quality was another disappointment. Despite Ford positioning the Explorer as a family-friendly SUV, owners complained of rattles, peeling trim, and glitchy infotainment systems. Safety recalls also plagued the lineup, from steering problems to fire risks. What made the Explorer feel like a scam was the gap between its image and reality. Ford marketed it as a modern, tough SUV for families, but many American owners spent more time in service bays than on the road. And if you thought the Explorer was a letdown, wait until you see the next SUV, a Japanese brand that promised value, but delivered one of the cheapest, least satisfying SUVs of its time. Number 9. Mitsubishi Outlander, 2007 to 2014. The Mitsubishi Outlander has always tried to carve out a space in the crowded SUV market, but the 2007 to 2014 generation proved why the brand struggled so badly in the U.S. On paper, it offered 7-passenger seating, affordable pricing, and Japanese branding. But in practice, it became one of the weakest, cheapest-feeling SUVs of its era. The biggest problem was build quality. Interiors were filled with flimsy plastics, uncomfortable seats, and outdated technology. Owners reported constant rattles, failing electronics, and early wear on basic components like door handles and switches. Engines were underpowered and prone to problems. The 2.4-liter 4-cylinder was sluggish and noisy, while the optional V6 suffered from timing belt and oil leak issues. Transmissions were equally problematic. CVTs that whined, slipped, and often failed before 100,000 miles, leading to $3,000 to $5,000 repair bills. Safety was another concern. Crash test scores lagged behind competitors, and Mitsubishi was slow to add advanced safety features. Resale values were abysmal, meaning anyone who tried to trade in their Outlander got pennies compared to what they paid. The Outlander wasn't a scam in the sense of being overpriced. It was a scam because it sold the illusion of value. Buyers thought they were getting affordable Japanese reliability, but instead, they got a cheaply built SUV that fell apart far too quickly. And if you think that's bad, the next SUV was marketed as luxury, but turned out to be nothing more than an overpriced repair nightmare. Number 8. Cadillac SRX, 2010 to 2016. When Cadillac introduced the second-generation SRX, it looked like a stylish alternative to German luxury SUVs. With sharp design, upscale interiors, and a recognizable badge, it appealed to older American buyers who wanted comfort and prestige without leaving a U.S. brand. On the surface, it looked like a great deal. In reality, it turned out to be one of Cadillac's most notorious money pits. The first major issue was the timing chain on the 3.6-liter V6 engine. Chains stretched or failed prematurely, leading to catastrophic engine damage. Repairs often ran $3,500 to $6,000, and in some cases, entire engines had to be replaced. Then came the transmissions. The 6-speed automatics in the SRX were prone to rough shifting and sudden failures, with rebuilds costing $3,000 to $4,500. Add in problems with the transfer case and AWD system, and owners often faced repair bills that rivaled German brands. Electronics were another nightmare. Infotainment systems froze, sensors failed, and power liftgates stopped working. Repairs weren't cheap either. Cadillac charged premium prices for parts and labor, despite the SUV sharing many components with cheaper GM models. Even the interior, while luxurious at first glance, didn't hold up. Leather cracked, trim pieces peeled, and many owners felt their luxury SUV aged far too quickly. The SRX felt like a scam because it sold itself as a luxury bargain, but punished owners with never-ending costs. Many who bought it over a BMW or Lexus ended up regretting the decision. And if you think the SRX was bad, the next SUV takes it to another level. A British luxury SUV that practically defined the phrase, "in the shop more than on the road." Number 7. Land Rover Discovery, 2015 to 2019. The Land Rover Discovery has always carried an air of prestige. With its adventurous styling, luxurious interiors, and off-road credibility, it looked like the perfect SUV for well-off American families. But behind the image was one of the most unreliable SUVs of its era. The Discovery was plagued by electrical failures. From faulty sensors to glitchy infotainment systems, owners reported constant warning lights and mysterious shutdowns. Even simple components like window switches and door locks often failed. The engines were no better. The 3.0-liter V6 supercharged engine suffered from timing chain wear, coolant leaks, and oil burning, leading to expensive repairs, often in the $5,000 to $8,000 range. Turbocharged diesel versions in other markets also faced reliability issues, though those were less common in the US. Then there was the air suspension system, designed to deliver a smooth ride and off-road adaptability. In practice, it was a constant source of breakdowns. Owners faced 6,000-plus repair bills when the suspension failed, which it often did. Resale value collapsed quickly. A discovery that cost $60,000 new could lose more than half its value in just a few years, largely because buyers knew how unreliable it was. For many Americans, buying a discovery felt like being scammed by luxury branding. The SUV looked like $1 million, but behaved like a clunker. Owners who thought they were buying into prestige often found themselves broke from constant repairs. But if Land Rover's unreliability was expected, the next SUV hit even harder. A mainstream American family hauler that left thousands of U.S. owners with timing chain and transmission nightmares. Number 6. GMC Acadia, 2007 to 2016. The GMC Acadia was designed to be a practical family SUV, offering 3-row seating, strong towing ability, and GMC's professional-grade branding. For many American families, it looked like the perfect alternative to a minivan. Unfortunately, it quickly became one of the most infamous GM vehicles of its time. The number one problem? Timing chain failures. The 3.6-liter V6 engine was notorious for stretched timing chains that caused rough running, stalling, or complete engine failure. Replacing them often required pulling the engine out, with repair bills running $4,000 to $6,000. The transmissions were just as bad. The 6-speed automatics frequently slipped, shuddered, or failed outright. Replacements added another $3,500 to $5,000 to the already growing list of problems. Cooling system issues were another sore spot. Water pumps, radiators, and thermostats failed regularly, leading to overheating and costly repairs. Steering problems were also common, with power steering pumps giving out prematurely. Even interior quality left much to be desired. Owners complained of peeling trim, failing electronics, and premature wear. For a family SUV, it aged poorly compared to rivals like the Toyota Highlander or Honda Pilot. What made the Acadia feel like a scam was its false promise of durability. GMC marketed it as a professional-grade SUV for families, but many U.S. owners discovered it couldn't even handle basic commuting without major breakdowns. And if you think the Acadia was a disappointment, the next SUV will surprise you even more, because it came from a brand known for quality, but ended up recalled for engine failures across the country. Number 5. Hyundai Santa Fe, 2013 to 2017, 2.4-liter engine. Hyundai made huge strides in the 2010s, turning itself from a budget brand into a serious competitor in the U.S. SUV market. The Santa Fe looked like the perfect mid-size family SUV, affordable, stylish, packed with features, and backed by Hyundai's famous warranty. But owners of the 2013 to 2017 Santa Fe, with the 2.4-liter 4-cylinder engine, quickly discovered it was hiding a catastrophic flaw. The issue was engine failure. The 2.4-liter engines were prone to excessive wear, oil consumption, and eventually catastrophic seizures. Thousands of engines blew up prematurely, often leaving owners stranded on highways. Repairs often meant full replacements costing $5,000 to $7,000 if they weren't covered under recall. Hyundai eventually issued recalls for engine defects, but many U.S. owners still faced long waits for replacements or were denied coverage. Even those who received new engines complained of repeat failures. Beyond the engine, the Santa Fe also suffered from transmission hesitation, failing steering racks, and electrical glitches. Owners reported random stalling, unresponsive throttle, and infotainment crashes. For families who bought the Santa Fe thinking they were getting affordable peace of mind, it felt like a scam. Hyundai's marketing promised dependability, but the reality was years of lawsuits, recalls, and heartache for American owners. And if you thought Hyundai's recall mess was bad, the next SUV shows how even luxury brands can disguise endless repair bills under shiny chrome and leather. Number 4. Infiniti QX 56/QX80, 2011 to 2017. On the outside, the Infiniti QX 56/QX80 looked like the ultimate luxury SUV. Big, imposing, and dripping with chrome, it appealed to American families who wanted something more prestigious than a Nissan Armada. With plush interiors and strong V8 power, it seemed like a worthy rival to Cadillac Escalades and Lexus LXs. But behind the luxury was a long list of problems that turned it into a financial trap. The braking system was one of the worst offenders. Owners reported premature brake wear, warped rotors, and even total brake booster failures. Repair bills often ran $2,000 to $3,500, sometimes multiple times during ownership. The transmission also caused endless frustration. Hard shifts, slipping, and premature failures were common, with replacements costing $4,000 to $6,000. Many owners reported towing or even regular driving led to overheating and breakdowns. Engines weren't trouble-free either. The 5.6-liter V8 developed timing chain issues, oil consumption problems, and leaking gaskets. Each of these repairs ran into the thousands, wiping out any sense of luxury pride. Electronics, from navigation systems to power liftgates, often failed, leading to more costly repairs. Combine that with terrible fuel economy, and many U.S. owners quickly realized their luxury SUV was bleeding them dry. For buyers who thought Infiniti would offer Japanese reliability wrapped in luxury, the QX 56/QX80 turned out to be a scam. It carried a premium badge, but brought headaches on par with the worst German brands. But if Infiniti disappointed, the next SUV took things even further. An over-engineered German SUV that became notorious for eye-watering repair bills and endless breakdowns. Number 3. Volkswagen Touareg, 2004 to 2017. When Volkswagen launched the Touareg, it wanted to prove that it could build a world-class luxury SUV. And at first, it impressed reviewers with its strong engines, advanced four-wheel drive systems, and upscale interiors. But for U.S. buyers, it quickly revealed itself as one of the most over-engineered, overpriced scams in the SUV market. The Touareg was packed with complex electronics that constantly failed. From air suspensions to infotainment systems, owners faced endless warning lights and expensive dealer visits. Even minor fixes often cost $1,000 plus, thanks to VW's high parts and labor costs. The V6 and V8 engines were plagued with oil leaks, timing chain tensioner failures, and high fuel consumption. But the biggest disaster was the V10 TDI diesel. While powerful, it was one of the most complex engines ever put in an SUV. Repairs often required removing the entire engine, with bills easily topping $10,000 to $15,000. The transmissions weren't bulletproof either, with common failures in both the automatics and transfer cases. Resale value collapsed quickly. A Touareg that cost $50,000 to $70,000 new could be found for under $10,000 on the used market, but only because buyers knew the repair costs were astronomical. For U.S. owners, the Touareg was a scam because it promised German precision and luxury, but delivered constant headaches. It was an SUV you spent more time repairing than driving. And if the Touareg was bad, the next two SUVs are even worse. One German, one British. And they represent the very definition of an automotive scam. Number 2, BMW X5, 2011 to 2014, N63 engine. The BMW X5 was one of the first luxury SUVs to capture the U.S. market. With sporty handling, premium interiors, and that coveted BMW badge, it seemed like the perfect combination of performance and practicality. But for buyers who chose the 2011 to 2014 X5 with the N63 twin-turbo V8, it turned into a financial disaster. The N63 engine became infamous for oil consumption so severe that BMW had to issue a special customer care package that included free oil top-offs. But topping off oil wasn't the fix. Engines often needed complete rebuilds or replacements costing $10,000 to $15,000. Timing chain issues plagued the N63 as well. Chains stretched prematurely, leading to catastrophic engine failure. Repairs required removing major components and cost $7,000 to $9,000. The twin turbos, tucked deep inside the hot V of the engine, often failed due to excessive heat. Replacements could run $6,000 to $9,000. Beyond the engine, owners dealt with air suspension failures, leaking cooling systems, and endless electrical glitches. Even the luxury features, from panoramic sunroofs to infotainment, were prone to failure, with each repair costing thousands. Resale values cratered. What cost $70,000 new could be found for under $15,000 just a few years later. But used buyers quickly discovered why. Keeping one running often cost more than the purchase price. For American owners, the X5 wasn't just a disappointment, it was a scam. BMW sold it as a precision-engineered luxury SUV, but it turned out to be one of the most unreliable vehicles on the road. And if you think BMW was bad, the number one SUV on our list makes them look like a bargain. This SUV has become legendary, not for its luxury, but for bankrupting owners across the U.S. Number 1, Range Rover, 2010 to 2018. At the very top of the scam list is the Range Rover. Few SUVs carry as much prestige. With elegant styling, luxury interiors, and a reputation for off-road capability, it has long been a status symbol in the U.S. Celebrities, executives, and professionals all lined up to own one. But behind the glamour was a vehicle so unreliable, it became the ultimate scam SUV. The air suspension system was one of the worst offenders. Designed to deliver a smooth, adjustable ride, it frequently collapsed, leaving owners stranded with their SUVs sitting low to the ground. Repairs often cost $6,000 to $8,000, and many owners had to replace the system more than once. Engines were no better. The 5.0-liter V8 suffered from timing chain failures, supercharger issues, and coolant leaks, with repair bills topping $10,000. Diesel variants sold in other markets had catastrophic reliability problems as well. The electronics were a nightmare. Infotainment systems crashed, random warning lights appeared, and essential features like power windows and door locks failed regularly. For an SUV that cost $90,000 new, the build quality was shockingly poor. Resale values plummeted. Used Range Rovers that looked like bargains at $25,000 often turned into financial black holes, with owners spending more than the purchase price on repairs within a year. What makes the Range Rover the ultimate scam is how it disguised itself. It wasn't marketed as affordable or practical. It was marketed as the best SUV in the world. Yet, for many American owners, it was the worst ownership experience of their lives. The Range Rover remains the king of scams, a rolling reminder that luxury badges don't always mean reliability. And there you have it. 14 SUVs that promised everything but delivered nothing but headaches. From budget-friendly crossovers that fell apart within a few years to six-figure luxury SUVs that spent more time in repair shops than on the road, these vehicles prove that appearances can be deceiving. For U.S. buyers, many of these SUVs represented not just bad purchases, but scams, flashy marketing wrapped around fragile engineering. So before you buy that shiny SUV sitting on the lot, remember this list. Which one shocked you the most? Did you ever own one of these so-called scam SUVs? Let us know in the comments. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us for more automotive deep dives every week.